The boy is alone as he stares out into the horizon. Panic and chaos ensues as a mother hides away her son from danger. As he hides, the screams of people running and the mysterious gunfire from afar overwhelms him, until it just stops. The boy walks past hundreds of corpses, trying to find his mother, but what he finds is unsettling. The boy instinctively tries to put her back together with whatever he can find, but in reality, the boy's mother was dead. She had been standing by his side just a few moments ago, but she was now laying on the ground lifelessly. To the boy, it felt like the end of his world, and it was. This is the beginning of a manhwa written by John Ji Hoon. The manhwa centers around a boy meeting a young girl bound together by their trauma as they keep moving forward to find a haven. With just 21 chapters, this series has gotten a strong reputation for being not only tragic, but also for some may call a masterpiece. So today, let's go through what makes this series so special in the eyes of readers. This is The Horizon. But if you guys want to see more anime content like this one, then why not go down and hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. As time passed, the boy was lost in thought. He stood on his feet and began to walk as that was all he could do. One day, the boy discovered a nice place to sleep, in an abandoned school bus in the middle of the plains. However, whenever he laid his head to sleep, all he could think about was the brutal violence over and over again. Then one morning, he met a young girl. The two watched each other in silence. The boy wanted to say something, but he couldn't bring himself to say anything, and neither could the girl. The silence was interrupted by an explosion, shattering the glass windows of the bus. Military men and citizens were fighting with explosions appearing between them. The boy grabbed the girl's hand and ran away. They kept running until they got caught in between the warfare. The boy questioned what drove the world to this, and if giving up was the answer. The girl's cry brought him back to reality, and for some reason, the boy grabbed her hand and continued to run. They successfully escaped and found an abandoned road, and from then on out, the two began their journey as they kept moving forward. The first chapter perfectly establishes the tone and intensity for the rest of the series. While having a simple premise about two kids, it's not afraid to deal with serious topics like death, fear, and war. The two main characters amplify the story just due to it being from a child's point of view. We see the boy facing things that no one should ever deal with, let alone a child. This makes the story more impactful and saddening just because it's happening to a couple of kids. After the boy's mother dies, he loses hope and begins to believe that life is meaningless. It's nothing more than a fabrication of man. At the end of the chapter, he still feels this way. It's not until he finds the girl that he forms a new purpose, something to give him hope. To him, she is the last representation of innocence left in this new post-war world, and he feels like he must protect it at all costs. Hopefully this new aspiration in life isn't short-lived. The boy and the girl had been walking for days when they ran into a very strange man. For some reason, the boy was terrified of the strange man, but that wasn't the case for the young girl. The strange man cheered and started following them from a distance. Nevertheless, the boy was overcome by anxiety and fear, and so began to plot their escape from the strange man. They planned to run away while the strange man was sleeping. Things were going smoothly until an explosion from afar woke up the man. When he noticed they were gone, he began to chase them with tears rolling down his eyes. He desperately grabbed the girl and continued crying. After this, the strange man would refuse to go to sleep, in fear that they would try to leave him again. The strange man would eventually have to sleep. So, the boy waited. Days passed and the man finally collapses. The boy wants to leave, but the girl feels sorry for the strange man. So the boy lets him join them on their journey, even though he still doesn't trust the strange man. Days go by and the boy's fear is still strong enough to even think about using a knife on the man. One night, the girl apologizes to the boy about the strange man. She then asks him to live a long life with her in a world where people wouldn't hurt each other or feel lonely. The boy thinks about it. A world where no one can get hurt, where no one feels hatred or lonely, a world where the boy and the strange man can develop a friendship. This resulted in the boy trying to build a relationship with the strange man for the sake of the girl. It seemed to be working, until one day the man walked up to them and punched the boy in the face. The strange man pins the girl down and touches her while he takes off his pants. The boy charges into the strange man, stabbing him in the chest and back. The boy grabs the girl's hand and they run away, moving forward on the road. To many, the strange man is a representation of loss. The man is a shell of his past life. From the clothes he wears, we can tell that he was just a regular working citizen, but due to the war, has become a traumatized soul with no humanity or morals. The whole arc, the boy was suspicious of the man, and just when he let his guard down, the cruel truth of reality hits him right in the face. Literally. One thing I gotta mention is the art. The art plays well into the story, specifically the backgrounds and the experimental scenes. The background is minimalistic compared to the expressive, distraught faces of the characters. The empty backgrounds are meant to be digestible for the reader to soak in all of the despair in this world. There are multiple panels displaying the boy's perspective. Some things turn weird and abstract to show that his thought process is spiraling. Jinhoon, like Ino Asano, has perfectly drawn panels that expresses his ideas rather than tell the readers. The two kids continue to walk without mentioning what had happened. Suddenly, the tranquilizer darts hit them both, rendering them unconscious. Unbeknownst to the kids, they had been kidnapped and put in a truck filled with armed men heading to a nearby city. The city is looted and abandoned, except for a sniper taking out some of the men in the truck. Explosions and gunshots take out each armed man guarding the truck, with the last man getting taken out by a man in a suit. The two woke up in a mysterious room with the man in a suit taking care of them. The man in the suit was a quiet man, but a helpful one as well. He bandaged up their wounds and fed them food. However, he asked for some help in return. The help is simple. Whenever they see someone suspicious or with a weapon on some cameras, they have to use the walkie-talkie to tell the man where they are. Whenever someone suspicious entered the city, the boy would tell the man the screen number and the man in the suit would kill them with either a sniper rifle or explosives. The boy and the girl decide that when he heals up, they will return to the road. But before that, the boy wants to learn how to use a gun, and the girl doesn't want to help in the killings, so she helps cook the meals with the man in the suit. We then see that the man in the suit is writing a book. We don't know what's in it, but the man in the suit explains that the world has come to this way due to man being governed by other things. And books help people think independently without being governed by anything else. But he doesn't have much time left, since the man in the suit is supposedly dying. Later we find the man in the suit as he's teaching the boy how to kill a person. The man tells the boy that he was one of his kidnappers, expecting a reaction. However, the boy hesitates and shoots the man in the leg instead, because he's no longer a threat to them anymore. We then swap over to the girl as she is following a trail of blood heading towards a dark storage lot filled with food. The trail ultimately leads her to a room with hanged bodies and chopped limbs. In another room, she finds an unknown man locked up by the man in the suit. He asks her to release him and pressures the girl into doing so. However, she makes a plan to release him at night, so they don't get caught by the man in the suit. That night, the girl tells the boy about what she found. They go to check on the unknown man, but all they find is an empty room. He's escaped, and the man in the suit confronts the two. Thankfully, it was all a part of the man's plan. So they take some resources and leave the city, leaving the man in the suit alone on top of a building. On the road, trucks filled with armed men head to the city. The trucks see the kids, but the unknown man, who turns out to be their leader, tells them to leave them be. As the trucks enter the city, we see the man in the suit with a picture of his family in his hands. He then blows up the entire city, killing him and all the armed guys. The boy and the girl resume their journey on the road. This whole arc is about the philosophy of good and bad in the world. The man in the suit is another representation of loss, except he deals with it with revenge. The man in the suit and the strange man are two sides of the same coin. Both these guys have been through a lot due to this war, and both have lost their morals and have become inhumane. The only difference is that the strange man is doing terrible things without thinking, while the man in the suit is doing terrible things because he thinks it's just. The man in the suit and the kids constantly clash with morality throughout the whole arc. His philosophy is if more gunmen die, the less innocents die as a result. However, the young girl sees the value of both lives as they're all human beings, and there's no reason why they should take a life. And then you have the boy, as he's split in the middle as they both make realistically valid points. But compared to the strange man, the man in the suit is a gentle, quiet man who takes care of the kids, even though he's a cannibal serial killer. The man in the suit is more of a guiding light for the kids, not only in teaching them to cook and fight, but also in life lessons that are important for their survival, like the scene with the book. Speaking of the book scene, We haven't learned much about the actual war since starting this series. All we know is that it's from man and not something supernatural. My theory so far is that it's some sort of World War III, but the series does not state the actual cause of the war, nor the parties involved. Even though we don't know the cause, the effect is definitely a very unfortunate scene. The girl and the boy continue their journey until a rainstorm hits and they take shelter in the woods. The boy becomes sick, and it reminds the girl of her past. The next couple of chapters gives us a flashback of the little girl with her dad in a bus filled of people we never met. Although we don't get any explanation on who they were before the war, we see that they start working together in order to survive. The small group focuses on survival and looting places while continuing their trek forward. The old man in the group is clearly sick with an infectious disease, so the group makes a decision to kick him out of the bus and leave him to die. But it's already too late, as it's most likely that the whole group is infected as well. They continue to move forward, except they all slowly lose faith. The writer of the group loses all hope, thinking about his past life being gone, never to be experienced again. He leaves the group, waiting to die alone. Another member is thinking about their life having no meaning, so at night she sneaks out to bust her life in the woods. The mother has grown sick, but the father doesn't want to give up hope of her chance of survival. But the mother surrenders and leaves the baby behind with the girl, as the mother and father leave the group with a sentimental goodbye. Eventually the father gets sick as well and has to leave the group. As the rest of the crew slowly withers out, only the girl is left. However, her loneliness isn't long-lived. A few days later, the girl meets a boy. The flashback ends as the girl and boy continue on their journey, stumbling upon a flowery field. The boy asks the girl when they grow older if they would get married, and the girl says yes, and thinks about their future together as they continue to move forward. They were finally happy, and the two wished that this would last forever as they reached the end of the road. It was great to see more about the girl. We've seen the backstory of the boy, but seeing the girl's story gives us more of a personal connection towards her. It's sad to see, but it continues to show how this war has affected other people and how they all deal with it in different ways. But they switch it up with a depressing start and a happy ending for once. I just hope it could last forever. Even with the road ending, they continue to move forward through the woods. They eventually encounter another boy and girl duo. Instinctively, the boys pulled out their guns and aimed at each other. They both screamed out to put down their guns, but it was to no avail since the other boy spoke a different language. Both girls told them to lower their guns, telling them that it was okay. And for a second there was still hope. The momentary peace was abruptly interrupted by a missile. As it detonated close by, it killed the other boy and the young girl. The world had stopped for the boy yet again. His newly found reason to keep going had gone away in the blink of an eye. Almost instantly, the other girl points the gun at her head and pulls the trigger, and the boy is soon to follow. He entertains the idea in his head, but ultimately throws the weapon aside and reflects on the body in front of him. Eventually he got back up and kept moving forward until he reached the horizon. After bottling up all his trauma and pain, he finally broke down by the sea. He cried and cried until he passed out on the sand. As a military force entered from the beach, a soldier checked up on him. Decades go by and the boy has grown old, living in a house in the middle of the beach. More time passes and the boy is ready to accept that he's going to die alone. His trauma from the war still haunts him. Every night in his dreams, he sees himself in the middle of the ocean, still kicking in fear of drowning. One day, he sees tracks heading towards the woods. He follows it and discovers a yellow tent where a couple that speak a different language are staying in. This couple reminded him of the boy and girl that he encountered many years ago. After reminiscing, he decides to just leave them alone, but the couple tries to be nice and bring him some food. The boy tries to brush him off nicely, but they insisted. The boy and the couple start to grow closer. They fish, draw, play cards, and he even teaches them his language. But the boy is still afraid, because everything is futile. He's scared to live and scared to die, and there will come a day where they must part. But the couple have faith in the love that they share. The couple is about to welcome their first child into this tragic world, but they have hope that the child will be happy no matter what. Their love was interrupted by a giant wave dragging the man into the dark sea. The boy just stands there as the woman cries for her husband. This is their reality that cannot be changed. Crying is all that they can ever do. Except, The boy can never accept that. Without thinking, he charges straight to the ocean to save the husband. He reaches down to grab the husband's hand, and he sees his younger self drowning. He hugs the man and tries to go back up, but he thinks even if they go back up, what lies ahead wouldn't be worth living for. But the boy is beginning to believe in love. He goes back up, and above the horizon, the sun rises. Years later, the couple's baby was born and grew into a young girl. She calls the boy Grandpa as they adventure along the sand. The story ends with the boy leaving to fish for the family on the beach, as he finally finds peace and happiness. This was definitely the tearjerker part of the series. I didn't think it could get worse than the last two arcs, but Chapter 17 proved me wrong by a mile. But it was still one of my favorites. Seeing the parallel between both sets of kids who look and have different backgrounds highlights how a war can have the same impact on both sides of the fight, eventually losing their morals and humanity by pointing their guns ready to kill each other. I love this final arc. The boy growing up and finally finding happiness is one of my favorite endings to a Manhwa series. The couple we met in the ending are the only people we see with their humanities intact. Their love and positivity gave each other and the boy hope for survival. Even when the boy thinks that the two will get dragged down by the cruelty of this world, he saves them because he sees himself and the girl in this couple. It's like the bad ending seeing the good ending in real time. And him saving the husband is him gaining back his humanity. The art and color pages in this final arc are beautifully detailed and painted, telling a whole story without using any dialogue. The Horizon is a tragic and tough manhwa to get through. Its story has been pretty hard to read just due to the depressing and sad nature of the whole series. But if you look past it, it tells a deep, philosophical story about a boy finding hope and trying to keep his humanity alive in a cruel world that has thrown nothing but hardships at him. I think the ending was beautifully executed, and the commentary and the details reveal an even more incredible story. I love the extra detail and how the story lets the reader come to their own interpretations. The author loves to invoke ideas and emotions through art rather than by words. The art, characters, and everything about the series was great. Even the fact that we'll never know what caused this unforsaken tragedy leaves room for the readers to guess and interpret what they think happened. For a series that I thought was just torture porn for sad people, was able to actually have a happy ending. All you had to do was keep moving forward. Thank you guys for watching this video. I never expected this series to be so good when I first started it. Next week we will be going over Uzumaki, and the week after that will be the Steins Gate video. So if you don't want to miss those videos, then why not hit that subscribe button. But I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.